These teams really like to find that rhythm and can run quite a distance once they do.
Beautiful shot. They without and the triple.
NBK puts us down to a 1v1 and wins it. Takes down one. Jay takes down two. Make that two on top.
Jay! Mo doesn't know, or does he? He wraps around with the pistol. Indy doesn't even react.
By Gavini. Oh my God!
It's a big day here for Element 1 because we are done with those best of ones into best of threes from here on out, and it is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm Jonah here for the first time. It's about time, and here with Carter as always. My friend, how you doing?
Very good. I'm sorry that you got rocked by some phantom sickness that came out of nowhere and knocked you out of commission for a couple days, but very happy to have you back. And as you said, on a momentous day as we say goodbye to the one mappers, the best of ones, and it is all best of three series here on out.
And this is what it looks like. The best of threes, elimination games, and promotion games. That's all we have from this point forward. Today is going to be all about those lower matches, those elimination games where we are going to say goodbye to two teams today. Sad to be saying that. It feels like we've just begun. We're on what, the 5th, 6th play day at this point, and we are already going to say goodbye to two of the four teams you see in front of us on the schedule here. Sintenegra, Sway, our opening matchup. The two teams who are unfortunately the bottom of the barrel right now here in Element 1. And on the other side, more surprising matchup because Carry the Boats find themselves in an elimination position going up against Chunner to stay alive in Element 1.
Carry the Boats is especially surprising, not just because of the big talents of that team, but they are also our only invited team to find themselves in the elimination section. Chunner, CNE, Sway, all making it in through our qualifiers, whereas Carry the Boats, they've only played two best of ones so far and find themselves in that spot where they are fighting for their lives. But of course, that does mean our first matchup of the day before we even get there is Sintenegra versus Sway. And as you said, unfortunately, aside from CNE's very oddly solid attacks in the league, they are statistically 15th and 16th in almost every other metric.
Yeah, that doesn't look great when you take a look at this graphic. But like you pointed out, CNE, 6th best attacking team. You might be wondering how that's possible for this team to be so far at the bottom of this league right now. And you can see what the road they took to get here, right? Back-to-back losses for both of these teams. That's how they ended up in this elimination game. For Sway, they got bodied by Aerial Arise, and, well, a more decent performance against FMG on the other side. CNE, it's that tough loss to GGG, and then Taken Kings only by just 2 in their round 2 performance. But as we've said, the attacking game from CNE, that's been their standout statistic thus far. And when you go against a team like Sway, who's had problems on both sides of the coin pretty much everywhere, this is potentially a match where CNE could exploit that.
And if we want to talk about CNE, the first of the two teams that we will discuss, one of the teams obviously that we are about to watch, they've come in, they've had a very close, albeit loss to Taken Kings, and that might just be the difference maker in comparison to Sway, who haven't had that same close game. Despite the fact that they are in an 0-2 position, they are not only positive on their entry differential, but they boast some solid stats. I mean, average cost in the 63% range, that's close to the average of cost in general, and a 60% attacking win rate, which again, after two best of ones, being in an 0-2 position, that's not terrible by any metric. It's those defenses that are the big problem. And if we also want to highlight a bit more specific stats, their entries are almost puzzling, not just in that they are +4, so overall positive as a team on those entries, but they've played 10 attacking rounds in the past 2 play days. They've gotten the entry in 50% of them, so 5, and then have converted all of those entries. When they get it on the attack in the rounds that they have won, they somehow boast a 100% conversion percentage. And obviously because of the best of ones, everyone's sample size is small, but 100% conversion percentage on any side is still the highest you can get statistically and the highest inside of Element 1. So sure, it might only be out of 5 rounds, and those 5 rounds are only out of 10, but still getting 100% in any statistic for a team that's in elimination, it's weird to say the least.
Yeah, super weird. And it looks really good on that graphic. A big old 100% congrats, guys. You're doing well on that one specific thing. Now they have to figure out how they can try to expand that breadth a little bit and see what else they can do on the defensive side, and when they go to more maps against potentially more opponents in the best of 3 environment. But speaking of, let's take a look at their opponent. We look at Sway, a team coming in with, I believe, 1 sub tonight. We've got Glamoji coming in instead of Xer, but a roster that, as we've said, has had some difficulty getting their feet under them. Really the bottom of the barrel on every single statistics line here, right? The only thing that they're doing a little better than maybe some of their opponents is KPR at 2.95, but really, this is a team that needs to be improving. Obviously, coming in as one of those qualifier teams, they knew this would be an uphill battle, but certainly it has not paved, not looked great for them thus far.
And in talking to some of these players, this is their first really big foray into the competitive scene. These players, not just as a roster, but individually, don't have the most competitive experience, especially in comparison to a lot of the teams we see in the league. So even though the stats are a lot worse than a lot of the other teams and a lot of the other players, if you're having a team or a player that this is their first kind of big step onto a big competitive stage, unless you're a huge undiscovered talent, you're going to get your ass handed to you a little bit sometimes. And that's kind of the situation Sway are in at the moment. Entry engagements, conversion percentage on attack, 60%, it's 13th, but at least it's above 50. But 0% defensive entry conversion. 0%. Even if they're getting entries or not getting entries, you can't twist that statistic to mean anything other than what it says. And based on what we've seen from Sway so far, sure, CNE is also in that 0-2 position. Sure, they've also lost the past 2 best of ones. But Sway, just looking at the eye test and watching them play, it appears in both of their matchups that they have been outclassed by very different play styles.
Well, looking at this one a little bit closer, we'll pop up a player comparison for you and see how maybe 2 of these core players on each of these rosters are going to make their impact today. We chose to highlight Reveal and Gladius, and I think you'll see why in just a moment. This is where the entry game is felt on both of these rosters. 5-1 for Gladius, and that is, I believe, 3-0 on the attacking side specifically. A very good statistic to boast for him. Reveal on the other side, 3-4, obviously not positive there, but compared to the rest of the roster, putting up some pretty reasonably good numbers. So if we're talking about keys to success for both of these teams, keep an eye on both of these players specifically, because if Gladius is not playing like Gladius has been playing in these past few days, that's going to be a problem for CNE, because their one thing that we've talked about, the one element of their game that's going well for them, those entries, may not be there. So keep an eye on that. Same thing goes for Reveal. Maybe we see something change for Sway. Maybe the best of 3 environment is where Reveal can start to really find his stride even more. Again, something to keep your eye on.
And again, one advantage that Sway has, at least in the regular season so far, is that they have only played one singular map. They played Cafe both times into their best of ones. Of course, they do have some footage on them in quals, but a lot of the qual footage is spread out. Some of the games might not have been streamed. Some might have only been notated after the fact. So the homework might be a little bit more difficult to do, but the same can be said for CNE. I want to see where this Cafe pick falls, though, because the bans have come out, and despite the fact that nobody out of these 2 teams have won Cafe, it has not been banned yet. Sway will pick Villa, which, oddly enough, is a map that they are flawless on, at least based off their qual performance, so I'm surprised that CNE let this map go through, even if there's maybe no tape on Villa or if all those games are played off stream. A map that Sway are still 2-0 on based off publicly available data. Kind of surprised that CNE decided to let it slip through.
Oregon pick for CNE, still concerned about where Cafe is coming through in this ban phase, because I don't think either of these teams want to see it picked as that decider, but it still remains up. So Villa and Oregon, we know where we're going there. Bank banned out.
Really?
Please ban Cafe here. Please ban Cafe.
I mean,
because Sway have played Cafe twice, lost it twice. CNE have played Cafe once, lost it once. They played Chalet as the only other map. So maybe that's where we'll end up. Chalet?
This would be...
Okay.
I mean, leaving Chalet up against CNE is, again, a very odd decision. Sure, CNE have lost it, but it was their closest loss throughout the season so far, 5-7 to Taken Kings, and their best performance, statistically and qualitatively. It's a map that through the qualifiers they are 2-1 on, their only loss being suffered in that Taken Kings game during the regular season, and Sway still leave Cafe up, a map that, sure, both teams have lost, but they've lost it in worse fashion more times than CNE. I just think, again, maybe the inexperience is showing here for Sway, that the map ban phase wasn't conducted too well, but at the same time, CNE did leave up Sway's best map throughout the qualifiers, Villa, in which they are 2-0 on it and have not played it during the regular season. So maybe they're throwing a bone to Sway, maybe they feel that they've got something up their sleeves, as, to be fair, they've also not banned Villa a whole lot and also haven't played it a whole lot. So this could be a map that CNE have hidden.
Well, Chalet has not been hidden from CNE or
No, not at all.
rather anyone in this league. We've seen it 5 times already. Now, if we get to it today, that would be the most played map so far in Element 1. But we will start things off on Villa. That's where things will begin for this best of 3, and a good chance for both of these teams to start feeling each other out. As you pointed out, Villa, maybe CNE should not have left it up. Maybe the fact that they went to Villa here is showing that they've done a little bit of prep. Maybe they know what they're getting into, but hard to say because all of these maps are going to depend on your ability to frag. And I think these predictions kind of speak for themselves in terms of kind of what you pointed out earlier, Carter, how when you look at the eye test, even looking at some of the statistics here, hard to argue that CNE is not the favored team on paper.
Yeah, again, like, has CNE had a lot of positives to talk about? No, but at least there have been some, whereas Sway really have not had a lot of good things going their way. Even though, you know, their first game was against Aerial Arise, a team that many consider to be one of the favorite teams to enter Grand Finals, that one round they won still seemed like it was a little bit of a fluke, and that Aerial Arise were in control of that game and all the 8 rounds played, even though they dropped one. The follow-up game against For My Gang, it was a better showing. They won 2 rounds on both sides, but against a team that is good at setting up aggressive players and is good at getting that entry, even if they play almost completely individually without a whole lot of structure. Sway were completely mollywopped by For My Gang.
Nice.
And CNE are a team that, as you saw from Gladius' stats, have competent entries, have the ability to set up their more aggressive players to go for big multi-kills or to take map control. And that's something that Sway suffered against when they played For My Gang. So when you look at CNE, sure, we're talking about maybe 15th in comparison to 16th, but that 15th place team, CNE, there's still seemingly not a sizable gap, but a gap nonetheless between that 15th and 16th position.
Something else that maybe you could put in the concern for Sway category, Villa's been generally so far attacker sided, only slightly, about 60-40 percentage-wise. To me, that leans CNE again, because this is a team that has proven to be very strong on the attacking side. They've not been able to convert it defensively as much, but here on Villa, if you can get your attacks in, if you can follow the pattern that the majority of the teams have been following on Villa so far this season, I think that puts them in a pretty good spot and Sway in a tough one. So as we pointed out with that player comparison just a moment ago, we're looking at Gladius, we're looking at Reveal, we're looking at these entry players who are going to be on those more aggressive roles on the attacking and defensive side. And really it comes down to on their shoulders of how these early rounds are going to get started and if their team can start converting on those entry kills.
Well, we'll just have to take a little bit of a break before we figure out the answers to a lot of these questions. Still waiting on a couple players to get into the lobby, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as they're in.
All right, we've got our lobby all filled up, and once we get confirmation that our players are ready to go, we're going to hop right into it. Villa, as we pointed out, that's where we will be starting in this best of 3 series against CNE against Sway. We saw our predictions earlier. We saw that everyone agreed that CNE was going to take this one, and it looks like the community agrees as well.
You're leaving out an important person. The coin believes that Sway will win.
True.
It's an important metric. We do already have a game crash, by the way, so if that
fantastic.
Not to set expectations too low for this game, but it's a 15th.
God, it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
It's a 15th seed game versus a 16th seed, and we've already had a player crash. But we're going to get through the outbands still, at least, obviously, because that doesn't require everyone to be in the lobby. And so far, not a whole lot of surprises, especially on Villa. You'll want to take care of operators like Flores. If you're a team that likes to run a bit more defaults, taking down the Thatcher is always imperative. And then, Fenrir and Solus, 2 of the 4 most oppressive defenders right now. This is pretty much about how I would expect the ban phase to go, not only in general, but also on Villa.
Yep, not much of a surprise there at all. Fenrir, the #1 banned defensive operator, and I think Solus coming in, at number 2 as the second most banned defensive operator. So nothing shocking there, as you pointed out, especially on Villa. The lack of the Flores means that we will likely see the presence of those Kiba barriers from the Azami, and likely see those be really frustrating for attacking teams to get through, right? Especially when you're attacking a site like Trophy and Statuary, which normally doesn't have too much in the way of that soft destruction to worry about. You throw those Kiba barriers in, all of a sudden now you have to tear apart the floor from below. Worry about those Kiba barriers as you are trying to push your way into the site. So just another thing for these teams to add to that attacking checklist that they're going to have to go through as they work their way in the building. But as you pointed out, Carter, we are not going to see that transpire just yet, because we are waiting for everybody to get back into the lobby and get squared away.
Yeah, and also to follow up, the presence of the Valkyrie should also not necessarily make her a must pick. I would say with Flores being gone, Azami is almost a must pick because of how many Kibas she has. And now you don't necessarily have to run a mute every round, maybe to counter that Flores if he's up. All the attack really has to deal with it are projectiles like grenades, lifelines, other sorts of explosives that you actually have to throw instead of the Rotero drones where you get 4 of them and you can drive on in. So you don't have to bring Azami every round, but she's one of those operators where at this point in the calculation of who you bring and who you don't bring, there aren't a lot of reasons why you shouldn't bring her at this point. Valkyrie, on the other hand, obviously she provides a lot of good intel, and more specifically, the fact that she is up. Villa has a lot of soft floors in almost every single one of the bomb sites, obviously the second floor ones, and sure, you might not be C4ing anything from basement, but you're certainly going to want to C4 the second floor if somebody decides to push from master bedroom into trophy or statuary. And with those Valk cams, you get a lot of good intel off of that, especially in conjunction with like a Pulse, specifically on kitchen and dining. So whereas a Zombie, because of the bans, might be a must pick, Valkyrie, I won't be surprised if we see her in a lot of these rounds, but maybe not as much as the Azami, because there isn't some constraint at the moment or factor that is boosting her value, though her value is already very high intrinsically.
So much to worry about, especially on Villa, right? With the additional soft destruction to worry about with those Kiba barriers, the time delay that can also add. And then while you're sitting back delayed, the black eye cameras are going to be looking straight at you and you could get blown sky high. So that's why it's so important to clear out this map fully as an attacking team. And it's why individual play, as we've seen a lot in the meta recently, a lot of those solo surprise pushes that can really dictate the flow of a round. It's why that here on Villa, we're probably going to see a lot of those. Because instead of taking the time to really work your way through the entire map, top down or all the way across that top floor, some teams, they like to take that shortcut. They like to throw somebody in, sneaking around behind. They like to surprise you a little bit. And with an individual play like that, with something like a Nook that you can always use to just kind of creep your way on through, defensive teams should also be aware of that as well.
Again, it is taking a very long time. So now that we've discussed the outbands, we've discussed as much as we could, we will take, again, another short break to wait for Emoji to get back in the lobby as this game has crashed. So don't go anywhere. We promise we'll be back with round 1 as soon as we can.
Into Villa we go. Sinteregra Esports Sway taking each other on in a first best of 3 of Element 1. Finally, we are getting into the first round, and we can get this one kicked off. No more hypotheticals, no more theorizing, Carter. Let's get down to it.
Jonah, we have to go to break. I lost my pencil.
I am going to kill you.
I got a new one, don't worry. I always keep
Good, thank God.
How did I lose a pencil? I've been sitting in a chair the whole time. It's ridiculous.
Use a pencil, not a pen?
Okay, well, so sometimes I make mistakes when I write. Instead of having ugly notes in which I have to cross things out, I could just erase it.
Just don't make mistakes.
I'm not writing like a letter to the president. I'm not trying to make it look professional here. I'm casting Rainbow Six, which I love, but I don't need a pen for it. I'd rather have a pencil. I'd rather have a pencil where I can make accurate notes, and if I make a mistake, then I can erase it. Obviously, we are in the game. As we mentioned, we have an Aviator Games defense to start out as. What else would you expect from an attack on Villa? Guess what, by the way? You and I were talking. What teams have all brought Grim beforehand? Well, at least right now, Sway has decided to bring Grim in round number 1. It appears they're aiming for a main stairs take, and wow, Gladius just didn't even react. Crispino, neither. Both somehow stationed around that piano room have fallen on 2 different floors, and sometimes we'll see... Oh, this is gonna be an incredible game.
Oh my goodness gracious. It keeps going downhill. We had the Razor Bloom team kill followed by a self-nade. Back-to-back to kick off this first round. We knew it was going to get spicy. We knew the entry game would dictate the flow of this match, but I don't know if we predicted it to go down that quickly on the very first round. But here we go. A 4v3. Sway in the lead right now, but things have since slowed down after their early entry onslaught. You've lost your sledge. Schmink unsuccessful with that nade down below. That will leave Benny to do it. As the Ash working their way towards the main stairs.
Reveal Luxor gets 2 kills as both players try to walk up main stairs. Nothing working out. The nades, the Razor Bloom, it all goes off. Wamoji will try to push in from study. He's very quickly dispatched from the vault angle. Oh my lord. Jonah, you can take it now.
Last man standing. HUD against 3. Sway started things out so well, but things have taken a swift turn. The main stairs push did not go as planned. The smoke claimed 2, and the Thorn claimed 2 more. It'll be Atlas, the final shot to end the very first round here on Villa. Setting the tone, Carter. Setting the tone for this best of 3.
He got down by a Razor Bloom through the floor and then killed himself with his own nade.
It's good stuff.
And then they tried to push main stairs, and both they didn't even get killed by a shotgun. They got killed by 1 SMG-11 spray.
Not a lot of bullets in a mag of that thing.
I mean, like, what do you even say there? Like, What am I supposed to say? We have the.
You got to say you just got outskilled.
We had two big bouts of action, and the first one is just funny, and that's where we don't have time to unpack all of it. The second one, they just didn't clear top mid at all, and that's it. That's the round.
Aviator in games. Hard site to attack. Sway made it look easy to start off the round, and then, well, things, as we pointed out, took a swift turn. I mean, we talked about the entry game, how important that was. Sway clearly showing us that they have what it takes to get the entry, but the all-important conversion percentage that Sintenegra boasts a 100% attacking conversion percentage. Sway will, unfortunately, not add any positive statistics to that column, as they will now need to make something happen in this second one, if they can. Adding the Dokkaebi into the mix now. HUD shifting over to that operator. But it's actually Benny to kick things off with a kill. Atlas, the player who ended round number 1, will end round number 2, but very early on.
And go back to that 0% successful conversion that we saw from Sway. And if round 1 was not evidence of that, just because they get the opening pick here does not mean it is all well and good. After all, they do take down an operator and they get themselves a 4v5. That's important, but the control they've established is of particular importance in the early to mid-round. Kitchen isn't going to be as important as of late. It's what you can do later on. Now they've got another victory taken down, so there are a couple players still trying to worry about the attackers down below. Luxor is worried about that position. Crispino and Gladius are likely now focusing on the site. If Sway find their intel and find these positions, they might realize very quickly that it's a 5v2 inside a trophy statuary.
Yeah, such a huge advantage if they choose to push the site. It's going to come down to the Mute and the Frost if they can hold off this push. Shotgun and SMG to do it. Gladius right now in a very awkward spot in the closet. Gonna have to make a move or risk getting pinched out. The flashes come in. C4 goes out, but it finds no purchase. Gladius goes down. Now it is a true 5v2 as Sway looks to force the issue and take this round, leaving no doubt. It's a 5v1 now. Luxor, the last man standing against a 4-player onslaught now, as he was able to collect 1. Everyone on Sway starting to work their way in from the east side of this top floor. Luxor getting shot just from about everywhere and is scrambling now to make a move. Sway are going to make this one a little easier, throwing in a nice team kill. Benny will end up expiring, but Reveal will close it out, and Sway will take the second round.
So that team kill there started to get a little nervous, but overall, I mean, Sway just seemed to dominate at every single point of entry. They take that control of Kitchen, which I mentioned wasn't going to be of too great importance, but sometimes the events of the round can end up revealing things that might not have otherwise been possible or been as relevant, because they get 1 kill down below, so they do secure Kitchen. They get another kill over up towards the Astro or the top floor side of things, and then that leaves 1 player stuck in living room and library and 2 players remaining on the site with a lot of time for Sway to work with. So once they see that there is a Mute still inside a closet, hasn't fallen back, hasn't given up that aggressive position, they just focus on clearing him out, and once they do, it's a pretty easy calculation. If there's 1 person on the site, attack him. If Luxor rotated back, attack the site anyway.
Well, back to trophy statuary we go for Sintenegra as they try to recover from the messy second round. Luxor rotating off the Vigil and going to a bit more of a passive role on the smoke, likely to play on the site instead of roaming all over this villa map. Instead, it'll be Atlas who will do a bit of roaming, not extended downstairs, but at least extended towards the Aviator and Games side, the south side of this top floor, to see if Sway will make their push from that side. But once again, it looks like they're going to go a bit more direct. Already getting some attacker presence over on that master balcony. You've got Reveal on the sledge, already on the rappel. The Ying in play from Schmink as well, coming into view.
Saving it for that execute later on. CNE have also adjusted. They have taken any presence on that bottom floor and moved it up to the top floor. And if there are any roamers, they are over by that Aviator game side, of which there aren't that many. Gladius has even fallen back. Not in Closet this time. This in Astro. All right. Well, that was the only C4 the defense had, and he is no longer a factor in this round. I get the idea. I don't really get the idea, if I'm being entirely honest. I think he expected maybe the sledge to rappel up, open it, and then he would hop out. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, Sway have managed to land the opening pick 3 rounds in a row now, though converting only 1 of them. They've taken out 1 of the remaining site players, and this puts Atlas in a precarious position. Does he rotate back? He's got the right idea. With Boar window open at this point, you want to play closer to the red side, help bolster and supplement the site. But with Gladius gone, it does leave Astro directly in the control of the defense, and with the one player who could challenge off the board, Sway might just have all the control they need and still half the round to go.
Yeah, nice nade. Now that will allow Benny to push his way all the way up into Bathroom and now into Astro itself. He'll lose his life to a well-placed shot from Atlas, but Sway still hold the advantage and are still looking to force this issue over on the north side. They do still have somebody on that Astro Rappel. They've now rotated Reveal down below as well, and another perfectly placed nade. Both of those nades from Reveal have found purchase in this round alone, and he is continuing to flex some pretty good numbers. 4 and run right now after he gets another onto victory. It is Luxor against 3 in an awkward spot. Has to worry about 2 angles here and is going to end up taking the fight in Master, trying to rotate around, maybe just dodge the watchful eye of Sway, but now that diffuser's going down. Luxor's got to make a move, and Glowmoji's not going to allow that to happen.
CNE have lost trophy twice now, but again, there's just been so much silliness this game, and we're only 3 rounds in, but specifically talking about the trophy defenses, I mean, there's that, and you don't need me to explain why that was a silly situation. But losing Crispino pretty soon after, to admittedly some very good nade play from Sway. To talk about actual positives, taking down Crispino with a grenade, not even needing to do a gunfight, and it's so perfectly placed, that enabled the entire rest of that round. They can flood into Astro, move into Master Bedroom, and start pressuring from that position. Now that the defense has to decide where they want to allocate their focus and their remaining manpower, Sway with those nades, and especially just at least catching the Mute standing in front of that castle barricade, got them that map control so early and allowed them to execute so quickly. But it also came from CNE in round 2, just dying everywhere. And then in round 3, losing the opening pick from somebody standing in front of a castle barricade. So they can go to trophy again off the statistics, but I still feel like there might be something left. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, Jonah. I'm just trying to I'm trying to digest verbally what has happened so far, and talking is the only way I think I could do it in any even remotely expeditious manner.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but like you said, no trophy and statuary, not Aviator in games either. We're headed downstairs to Kitchen and Dining for the 4th round here for CNE. Similar defensive philosophy, at least contesting the early entry on that Aviator in games side is Atlas, and over up top, they're also going to apply a little bit of pressure with the Melusi and with the Valkyrie. You've got Atlas joining them as well, trying to orchestrate a pretty strong top floor hold. You've got the Pulse down below to add an additional bit of information to that too. The black eye camera is the heartbeat sensor. You've got a lot of information to work with on this defensive side. Question is, how are they going to capitalize on that? Are we going to see them play aggressively, or are we going to see them back off? Interestingly enough, it is Sway who have backed off. Seeing that top floor setup, they have completely rotated around and are now clearing their way across on this first floor instead.
There's no one directly from CNE across the horizontal floor to contest them. There is Atlas on that red stairs who could take a fight through the living room wall, but CNE are still predominantly trying to hold on the site, and if there are roamers, they're all on that 2nd floor. So denying this vertical control is important if Sway were to theoretically want to make that an element of their defense. If they push in, it'll also give CNE angles once Sway actually hit that execute. But the majority of Sway's plan has so far gone uncontested. But if CNE have the proper angles available, such as you saw Crispino holding that angle down into the hallway below, Glowmoji hitting a lurk is completely shut down. So any potential for Sway to move up there, well, it's been shut down in the horizontal angle. It's being shut down as well.
In the vertical, still being maintained by CNE. They have not given this up either. Confident enough, now that they've won the first 2 fights, they're going to maintain positions above and below. And that's going to give Sway a lot of trouble. Reveal just barely gets away alive from that gunfight with Crispino. Ends up getting that kill. But you got to look at Reveal's HP. At what cost? 1 HP now in this 3v4 situation. This one's going to favor CNE all day long. They still have so much information to play with as well. The Pulse still alive. The Black Eye cameras still a factor. Gladius, maybe the one weakness for this defense right now because he is in a troubling spot. The wall opening on both sides of him. And he's got to be careful from the presence at the window. And now in the room, no drone work. So Sway will end up giving their lives away. It's just HUD, the last player standing, knows where some of these defenders are, but simply doesn't have the time to do much of anything about it. CNE, the switch to kitchen and dining seems to have paid off.
They've now won 2 of their 3 defensive bomb sites as well. They, just based on the results, might feel now that Trophy is going to be a little awkward, but they can move to Aviator Games now. But they will, if they win this bomb site, they will have to reconfront Trophy in round 6. So round 5 is very important. You get to secure at least 3 rounds, and even if you end up losing Trophy Statuary, whereas if you lose it, you got at least a checkered option or a bad option left for you in round number 6. For that round as well, Sway got all the horizontal map control they wanted. Solid, around the site, completely surrounded. And then it seemed like they decided we do want to take some vertical control. But their strategy was send glow emoji. All right, it didn't work. Send reveal. All right, it didn't work. And then at that point, you've thrown away 2 bodies, and you've dropped bodies on the horizontal angle as well. So I think Sway, there was a little bit of indecision there about how much they wanted to take vertical control, and it ended up resulting in CNE being able to take a lot of individual 1v1s.
Yeah, I think indecision is a great way to put that, because we saw Sway initially look like they were interested in taking that top floor, then they backed off, then they had some individual play on that top floor again. It was a little back and forth, right? We didn't see the commitment of a full 5-stack pushing the top floor or a full 5-stack pushing the first floor. It was a little bit disjointed, and as a result, Centenegra was allowed to just pick Sway apart one by one by one. The first time that CNE had been allowed to actually get the opening kill on the defensive side this game, and of course, the second round that they will claim on this defensive half. As we pointed out, this map generally leaning a little bit 50-50 or even favoring the attacker just a bit so far this season. So that is, of course, something that Sway are going to need to keep their eye on. They're going to really be looking for this third and maybe even that 4th attacking round if they can. They know how tough it's going to be to defend against that CNE attack on the second half.
Oh, there is one player from CNE breaking with the trend, playing far off the site. There is a drone on Astro, though, and he'll shoot it. That'll give away his position. HUD hears it. He does back off, though, but likely knows that Gladius, after shooting that drone, is going to feel dissuaded from flanking. Benny even looking that way just to be sure. Don't have to worry, as the Legion is rotating all the way back over towards the Aviator Games side. But he'll have the call-up that nobody's pushing main, so this should be a fairly easy rotate to make their way on over. Not a lot of 90 presence, oddly enough, from CNE, so HUD will be able to move in there very quickly, with over half the round still to go. And now we're at the point where you just have to find an opening and try and work a pick at some specific angle. Don't have any hard breaching, unfortunately, so opening up that vault wall could prove to be a difficult proposition. It might just have to maybe finding Gladius down below, working a pick on the study side of things, or using one of those 4 nades to find a kill inside of the site, because opening up any new angles, unfortunately, if it's reinforced, is not in the cards for Sway.
Not a lot of progress made by Sway so far. Reveal really the furthest pressed forward on this attacking side, but finds himself in an awkward spot. A goo mine in the foot will slow him down even more. Emoji trying to make something happen here from the balcony, just trying to get some pressure into study, but the Kiba barriers are going to make that much harder. On the other side, HUD maybe teasing an entry, but without taking care of victory, that's going to be an impossible spot to push from. Gladius from below is going to make that even more painful, taking care of Reveal just like that. It's a 3v5, and the Sway are crumbling as CNE are picking them apart one by one. It is Atlas to claim another. HUD now just swinging out wide into the smoke. but into the crosshairs of several of these CNE defenders. Oh, Gladius gets another. And it looks like the last player, the only thing he can do is stand here and hope to get a kill to deny the flawless round, but that is not going to happen either. CNE have turned it on and are not looking back.
Ironically enough, the Flores ban ends up hurting Sway in that round. Well, not completely, but a little bit. We can talk about it a little bit later because we do have a tactical timeout and a listen-in. We might be able to peer into Sway's comms
and they just fell off. They wasted your time, and they're just holding utility on you on site. Your best bet is to go direct. Wait for those cutoffs that you're getting and start nading them out below. You guys just didn't do anything for 2 minutes straight. Get the nades below immediately, start flushing them out, then start walking up the main. Honestly, we could have done the same exact take we did originally if we would have just naded from below on that main guy and then set a backstab through like red or something along those lines. I'm telling you, direct. These guys have lost to your direct takes almost every time. Just get in there, in their face fast. You're gonna win the gunfights. They're giving you picks, okay? Just get right in their faces. Fuck their utility. Walk on them, okay?
Run it back like same Master Direct.
I think they're probably gonna. They can't go dining, right?
No, they be trophy.
So run it back direct and then get a backstab. Okay, that's what's gonna cut them off. All right.
All right.
I think honestly, the Ying. I don't think the Ying was any good. So maybe you just repel Astro with like a lion or something.
I'll do that.
Yeah, keep the sludge in the hib though. Keep the sludge in the hib. That was good.
All right. Well, as you said, especially going back to trophy statuary, this is what I was talking about is a worry for CNE that they did fall to Sway's direct takes 2 times in a row. There was some silliness at play and a couple extenuating circumstances that did make those kinds of takes a little bit easier to work out. So, if Sway want to go for that same strategy, this is incumbent on CNE to make the changes in this round, Jonah.
Gotta say, love getting the insight into the comms there, seeing exactly how this attacking team of Sway want to make these adjustments into their final attacking round. I mean, the answer, they said it, get in their face. They're giving you the picks. Take the fights, and you guys can make something happen. They're also going to change up their attacking lineup a little bit. We also heard them talking about that, doing away with the Ying in favor of the Lion, trying to change it up a little bit, maybe allow themselves to get a bit more information and decide that, you know what, the flashes, the explosive potential of Ying, we're gonna let her sit on the sidelines for now. Maybe more information, maybe some more opening picks like they had in those first few rounds could really help them take this final attack and set the tone going into the side swap. But back to trophy and stats where we go. CNE have not defended this site successfully just yet. So the big test for their defense comes right now.
There's one player from CNE just moving around the map by himself. It's the Mozzie from Gladius. Luxor as well down below. 2 players. Luxor specifically not with too much support. Atlas is the bridge back to the site on red stairs. He's been droned out as well, maybe rotating back after shooting one more drone is the play. The E1D comes out, so they are trying their best to clear him. Bill getting a very good position on bottom Astro. That's likely the main avenue for at least Luxor or Gladius, but with nobody actually over by red, never mind. They can just switch over to that stairwell where Atlas is playing and rotate all the way back. So not too much worries, admittedly, for CNE. He's gone downstairs. Okay, that's not what I thought, but he is Vigil. The more time he can waste, especially if he can hit a flank up those pantry stairs, Jonah, there is something still in the cards for Luxor, especially with half the round gone. Sway might just forget about the Vigil's presence if they ever even knew about him.
Yeah, this looks really good for Luxor right now because Sway have made that entry down below. They're focused on what's going on above them, not below them. It does look like Reveal might have an inkling that someone is downstairs. He's keeping an eye on these back stairs and pantry, trying to deny Luxor as he works his way up. And Luxor doesn't seem to know it. Reveal's going to take the fight proactively. But in doing so, maybe reveal his position. Doesn't matter. He'll win the fight anyway. Cut down to just about 1 HP, but getting the kill nonetheless and setting Sway up for success in the back half. As you pointed out, though, Carter, check out the time. That was a very successful time waste from the Vigil.
Yeah, wasted and put it down to 45 seconds left. Now with Reveal on low HP, Astro is in the hands of the attack, but if CNE maybe take down that one player or get a kill somewhere else, it's still a winnable round.
C4 goes out, but not exactly sure what the point of that was. He'll end up losing his life behind the reinforcement and turning this one back into a 3v3 as Atlas will neutralize. 20 seconds. Sway do need to push into this eventually.
There it is.
And reveal as he does so. Benny, as they do so. Schmink also gone. CNE back-to-back-to-back kills to close out the round. It was Discipline that won it out from them in the end, holding those more passive angles, letting Sway walk into them, knowing how little time they had left.
We'll say Luxor did do a great job at wasting time, forcing Benny to reconsider him 45 seconds left. But for that player in particular, I do want to say, because Sway weren't really stopped all that much on the other elements of their take, especially as we pan up and see that they've been able to acquire Astro at a similar pace as to where they were able to on previous trophy statuary attacks. That really did come down to that kill from the Cade onto the bathroom side of things. Because once that player goes down, the take is stopped just for a little bit. They now know somebody's watching that angle. They've got to reconsider, maybe drone them out, use some utility. And it was then incumbent on the rest of the site players to work a kill somewhere else. And because how that panned out, the fact that they were able to get 2 kills with Reveal still in play, who was on 1 HP, that basically just made one even wayward bullet turns a 3v5 into a 3v2 with the help of some teammates and just a nice shot from a remaining player to take out the sledge. It really all came down to those gunfights in the last 30 seconds or so.
We'll see a 4-2 defensive half here on Villa as an attacking team. And as a slightly attacker-sided map, this is really where they want to be. Unorthodox Valkyrie cam thrown outside. You don't usually see this anymore these days. Lamoji trying to get a little bit of intel, and we'll use that to go for the run out, but it will quickly slink back inside. Sintanegra, knowing where the Valkyrie is, knowing that sight might be weak, they're going to go for a bit of a rush. Blitz at the helm. Atlas is deep in the site. Victory with the diffuser is only a step or 2 behind, and now they're hunting for the kills. Atlas with the first. They'll lose one in the process, but downing and finishing off Schmink. Make it Glomoji. Make it Reveal. They are just cleaning them up one by one. Victory will now get this diffuser down, and Benny is the last player standing. He'll get one, but that is it. Sintanegra, they go in quick, and it pays off.
And those are the kinds of plays that Sway has struggled to deal with inside of Element 1, especially in that For My Gang game. Even though they got to a 7-4 scoreline, they were consistently outclassed by a bit more aggressive, a bit of plays that catch you off guard that you have to react in the moment to and don't have prepped. A rush is a very good read by CNE, not only to potentially just get a quick round onto the board, get a quick attacking win on a primary bomb site, but also take advantage that Sway have sometimes been very slow to react in the moment and haven't taken advantage of by aggressive plays. Sway will now go back to the AVG site, knowing that CNE are probably not going to go with a blitz rush again, let alone a rush of any kind again. And CNE have got a round win without revealing their full take whatsoever, without revealing their normal strat whatsoever. And considering the fact that CNE haven't shown Villa whatsoever up until this point, that's an advantage that even if we only have a few more rounds to play, you want to keep up your sleeve.
Looking at CNE, I mean, as a whole, I mean, those first few rounds were rough from them. And, you know, we tried to pin down exactly why. One of those reasons, I mean, it was on no player specifically, but Gladius was 0-3 through the first 3 rounds. And has now bounced back to 6-5. But look at Atlas and Luxor. Putting up insane numbers right now. 9-2, 9-3. Looks like they can do no wrong on Villa. Ever since those first 2 rounds and CNE decided, you know what, it's time to buckle down and make something happen, they have. And they've taken, well, 5 rounds. Just beautifully. The first one, sure, they ended up taking, but it was very, very close. Now, they'll be looking to force the issue here up above. Taking the fight with Reveal, that's Gladius. Another good fight in the early round. Moving to 7-5 and equalizing the man count in a 4v4.
Schmink going for the flank very early on. A lot of aggression from Sway that paid off with that kill from Reveal, but since then, I think it's only served to annoy CNE and give them opportunities to win back the advantage. Reveal now taken down. Schmink almost gave his life away, and Glamoji did as well. Benny just cut down, not through the wall, Might have been confused based off the G36 brothers, but HUD swings that as well. Really in the 4v3 with everyone taking trophy stat control. So they have given away every advantage they've gained, but now Glowmoji's taking it back. On 1 HP, once he spotted through the wall, never mind. One head severed through the softball, triple from the sub on Sway. Now Crispino, the only one left. Maybe a beat on Schmink's position.
Through the wall. Both players will miss with their spray. Selma opening up an additional angle for Crispino to work with, and he's going to swing it all the way. He looks like he wants to take this fight. He's got plenty of time, but it's not going to be easy to get this bomb down in a 1v1 situation like this. The vault.
What?
Wait, what are you? What? What? The Valkyrie wins it and comes out of the fight with 1 HP. Sway. They find a way to take the round.
We don't have time to unpack everything that happened there. But of what we can talk about, Sway gave away their man advantages consistently and are just very lucky the Valkyrie happened to hit
Nice,
the shot.
Schmink.
Good
My
shit.
God.
Because at that point, Jonah, if we're being honest, Glowmoji, inhuman work to win that back. Not only that double kill with everyone walking up to Skuldor, but also on that final kill as the player entering site, because he was on 1 HP. That player entering could have easily killed him through the softball, and he did. So Glowmoji gets a lot of credit, but even then, that was a weird and misplayed 1v1 from both people, but the Valkyrie particularly.
Well, you had said it, Carter. You said that Sway had given up the advantage that they secured in the early round. But as you said that, CNE did the exact same thing, right? Sway had given it up. CNE had, what, a 4v2 at that point? And then they just decided to full send it into the site. And sure, that's probably going to favor you because you have a substantial man advantage. But if you're not taking the time, I mean, they had 90 plus seconds left. They had plenty of time to get some information if they wanted it. But instead of doing that, they just head down, hold shift, straight into the site, and they just could not find the trades. They just were not quick enough on the draw. And as you pointed out, those final 2 players on Sway did a heck of a job to make that happen. But little messy there in the end from CNE. Early round, great. Mid-round, great. And that is where things got a bit problematic for them. They're still up by 2. It's still 5-3 overall on this map here, and CNE are clearly still feeling good. Look at the pace at which they are moving in this map.
And he's taken down 1, but Luxor easily not only gets 1, but a second is stolen away from him. Victory, though, falls to Glowmoji. Luxor spots another. This was a brilliant opportunity for CNE to push in, but they've struggled to close it out. They put 3 players at low HP. This should be a dunk. This should be an easy one for CNE to land if the bullets just hit.
They've forced Sway off the site. They have complete control, and the HP, I mean, Sway are on the last inch of their lives. 3 of them do not have enough health to fight these gunfights over and over and over again. If they can hit the heads, though, that is all that will matter. From behind, it looked like someone tried to sneak up those Astro stairs. Luxor now will be the last player standing. He'll have to hold off 3 defenders on this retake. He's got just too many angles to worry about. He gets 1, but he refuses to check the door behind him, and he'll end up falling to HUD. In the end, a quick counter defuse and a quick post plant that Sway will end up securing. That's 2 in a row.
It is a tragedy that CNE lost that round, because I'm listening to you talk, Jonah. You're speaking words that are just, they're butter. Just beautiful on the ears. And what do I see 30 seconds in? CNE have not only entered bathroom within 30 seconds, they have also cleared out Astro by seeing that nobody's playing on top of it, that nobody's playing behind the desk. And they do a smart move, which is, all right, let's try to get aggressive. Let's throw a nade on bottom Astro, make it so they can't push up. Very good read. Very good read of that situation, CNE. Solid work. And then, somehow, by forces that none of us as mere mortals can understand, how do they not win that round? They get a post plant with 3 people on 1 HP, and Sway just dome half of them, and CNE missed the others rotating around. That was almost the definition of a layup, even when they were in a man disadvantage getting that bomb down. It's very unfortunate they lost that, and if Sway end up coming back, that's going to be one of those rounds that you're going to be looking at, like, how did we not win that?
Yeah, exactly. You said, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The untrained eye, you look at that situation, you say, wait a minute, it's Sway. They're on defense. It's a 4v3. They should have the advantage here. But CNE had way more HP. They had full sight control, and they somehow managed to let that round slip through their fingers. And it appears to have some more detrimental impact than that, because now they are letting these small things go unchecked. They're letting a play like that from Sway go unpunished and unnoticed. Atlas already lost their life here in round number 10. 10-5, but that's going to be the way things stay for Atlas on the Nomad. We're not going to be able to see those air jabs come into play either, and that's going to be a problem, considering how aggressive Sway have been on the defensive side, and considering that Synthenegra, they need to take this top floor control, and they need to maintain it if they want to have a successful kitchen and dining attack. If not, now that they've lost the Nomad, they might be forced to go a bit more direct and rotate around. Look at this. That's exactly what they're doing. Luxor already in memo somehow. Same thing goes for Victory and Gladius. They're just going to bum rush into the site, all dying one by one by one. I'm just waiting for Crespino to fall. There it is. Reveal. Run out. Easy headshot. And that's the round. Sway tie us up.
So, here's us again, like, Jonah's speaking, like, the most brilliant words anyone has ever spoken in the history of humanity. And then we cut to Luxor, again, 2 rounds in a row, and he is in the room next to site. He is in the room directly next to the bomb site. How has this happened? Nobody's in memo. Nobody's even on red. Don't know. Questions for a higher power than I. And he walks in. Seems like he has an opportunity, but Sway have brought a Mira, which is good. Mira's a solid operator to stop plays like this. And CNE just don't clear the Mira. They just don't clear it. They walk directly into the black Mira's crosshairs. So there are misplays on both sides. Sway lets someone get all the way in memo and just had nothing to counter it. And then CNE get into the bomb site and realize that, oh, we didn't counter the Mira. And Mira is built to counter this exact play. CNE, I don't know if they think the game is over and that they've already won, but that is now another round that, not that they should have won, but that at this level, you just need to clear that. You just need to know that you can't walk into sight in front of an uncleared Mira and expect to walk away unscathed, let alone with a round victory, unless the defense is in the mind to throw.
Well said. When there's a Mira in play, I mean, you need to recognize that and deal with it. You can't just pretend it's not there. So CNE back to the drawing board for round number 11. They do have a chance here to hit the reset button. I mean, back to AVG. They won this once. They lost this once. And they're going to be looking to win it again. A win here will get them on map point and will give themselves a nice bit of momentum, but that is quickly quashed. They don't even have a chance to build that momentum because Sway get up in their face, take the fight. We heard these words during the TAC timeout. Sway said, they're giving you these frags. Take them. Take the fight to them. Get up in their faces. I mean, we're seeing that just beautifully executed right now from this Sway defense. I mean, sure, we're all tied up, but it's about to be 6-5 Sway in the lead because Victory, unless a miracle can happen here, is now fighting against 3 very competent Sway fraggers who are perfectly capable of just sitting back and waiting.
Victor will try his best to push in, but HUD with those toxic canisters, the Kiba's still on his way, and a shotgun pointed right at that door. Yeah, it is wraps. Somehow, if you had asked past Carter at 5-2, CNE just win a rush in 30 seconds. If we would now be 6-5 favoring Sway, they win 4 rounds in a row, I would have laughed at you. But also, I've also been a little negative these past couple rounds. So I'm going to be positive real quick, Drona. You know who has opened up every single round that Sway have won in a good fashion? I don't know the exact statistics for the kitchen round because it just ended so quickly. But in at least 3 of the 4 rounds that Sway have won, Reveal has gotten a very early pick outside or inside the building on one of the main entries from CNE. And in that round, he got a 2K as well. And obviously, he's the top frag on his team. One of the only guy actually positive too, 13 and 8. He's gotten most of the opening picks in the rounds they have won on one of the main aggressive players for CNE. And that, I think, is very good for him, very good for Sway, and a very good reason as to why CNE have struggled to win a lot of these rounds.
I mean, there's a reason we highlighted Reveal coming into this game. I mean, sure, Sway have not had the most success, but Reveal has been one of these top fraggers, those big gunners for this team, and we are seeing that on full display right now. 13 and 8 really picked it up in these last few rounds, as you pointed out, Carter. So only one more to go, and Sway will take Villa. They'll take their own map pick. Now get a chance to move along to Oregon with a bit more confidence. And I mean, when you're taking gunfights like this, so confidently, so aggressively, think about how Oregon could go. I'm already a little nervous for CNE if that's how things end here on Villa, or maybe we'll see them bounce back, but they've got to do it now. It is map point. It is do or die for them here on Villa, and they are going to start things off with a kill, but not a kill. Yeah, not a kill onto the opponents. A kill onto Luxor. No more sledge. That's going to be a problem.
It is still playing aggressively, but now he's in a position with those ever-generating magnets to delay even more time just by throwing them on the window. Oh, Frost just shuts down Gladius the moment he walks in the bathroom. I mean, they didn't even clear HUD. Do they not even know he's here? The Ash was walking up to Astro like there was not a soul behind him. Atlas has at least used his nade to get a kill. Victory has fought back. Again, CNE just need to get one round, and they are in overtime. They brought it back from a 3v5 to a 3v3, and, ooh, if that nade was just cooked a little bit more, would have made it to 3v2, but they've got Astro and Bathroom. This is still winnable if they can kill the demon that is Reveal.
Yeah, look who it is. It's Reveal on the Malusi, playing close on the door. Choosing to play a bit aggressively as well. But Crispino takes the fight and does not manage to come out on top. Good trade, though, from Victory. Back in a 2v2. Dead even right now. A minute to play. Still anyone's game. The castle has been forced back. We saw that nade land earlier. So he's tucked in the corner by the statue. Doesn't have a lot of mobility here to work with. Doesn't have a lot of space. It's going to come down to Glamoji here if they can get the kill because, yep, there it is. Atlas will clean up the castle for good. It's now the 1v2. A situation that Glamoji succeeded in last time, getting a tremendous triple kill. It's now going to come down to this. The Thorn has now been spotted. The Doe could be around the other side. Will now force the Thorn to rotate around. But I think they know. They've got the pings, and now they can get this diffuser down. All they've got to do is focus on the coverage. Atlas just has to land one shot! But he can't do it. It's now a 1v1. Victory now has successfully got this in a post plant, but now has to play very careful. Glamoji doesn't know quite where to look. He's clearing just about every angle. Victory misses one opportunity. Can't miss the second. Can't miss the third. There it is, finally. Glamoji is finished, and CNE just barely hang on.
A round that has come far too late for CNE, but it still comes when they need it. They will secure overtime, and I didn't expect to say this, but they might just be disadvantaged in getting attack. What they need to do, what they absolutely need to do is be aware of these off-site roamers, whether it is Reveal or anybody playing off-site, or even playing an aggressive angle close to the site. Since that rush in round 1, it has got them every single round. 8 through 12, they have fallen to it every time. Here on AVG, Reveal over inside of Master Bedroom got them there. Actually, I think that was the front door, but still, Watch out for that entry. You're a team that going into this game had a 100% entry conversion percentage and still got it 50% of the attacking rounds you played. You should not be dropping almost every single attacking entry engagement this entire half.
Before insertion. 5 seconds remaining.
As casters, Carter, I feel like
Attackers objective.
pulling out
Locate a bomb and
patterns, seeing the flow of the game and how things are going, right? That's what we do. That's what we like to highlight. The problem here that we're presented with is that there has been no order to the chaos that we're looking at in front of us. It has been back and forth, left and right, up is down. It's been so hard to predict what's going to happen next. Because just when you think one team has a foothold over the other, just when you think things like start things off well on their first attacking round of overtime, shutting down Emoji early, and that is going to be vitally important for the success of this attack. A nice nade. That's 2 in a row here for CNE, and that is a great start.
Great start, especially because they take down that smoke. Glowmoji with the Thorn, that 1.5, that's a great fragger gone, but the utility they take down from HUD is infinitely more important. If they can take down Schmeek on main stairs as well, there is just a dude crouched walked underneath main stairs and nobody saw the other. Either way, the Wamai has managed to live for a brief period of time. Spots one on Study, knows that a couple more are over that direction. It has been cleared, but the double peek on main stairs might just get CNE match point for the first time in this game. Reveal been flashed, one around the corner. He can cut down the head of one and maybe a second if he's lucky. There we go.
Oh, just barely misses that one. Great shot from Luxor to close it. But what a round for CNE. That one looked a lot cleaner. There were no gimmicks there. There was no, we're just going to rush you tactic. That one was entry kill, follow it up with a nice nade, and then followed it up by playing together. That is the most important thing. We saw the double swing on the main stairs right here. And I think that is really a good indicator of CNE changing their mindset a little bit. It's not just about, are you pushing the angle or are you taking the fight? It's, are you pushing it together? Do you have someone in position to trade you? Because when CNE had the advantage in a few of those rounds and lost it, they lost it because they weren't playing together enough. But taking that fight in that 2v1, there's no way you're going to lose it if you're both looking at the same angle at the same time and you are ready, gun up, to take that fight. So CNE, they are able to get a little bit of that momentum back. They will now be on match point for the first time, and it is now Sway who need to make something happen on their attacking side.
10 seconds to go.
And of course, now that CNE have got that important round, they can go to their defenses where they did close out a 4-2 half before switching sides. This is very good.
Heading out to defuse a bomb.
Sway, of course, seeing that it's an Aviator Games defense and seeing the presence of that Grim, they're like gonna try that direct take again, but in defiance of the logic that we heard from Sway did mention that the direct takes have always worked, Aviator Games was an exception to that rule. Their direct takes worked for Trophy and Statuary, but this direct take was a catastrophic effort, to be fair on both sides. Sway did get a few good entries, but then were quickly shut down the moment they tried to go up those main stairs. Gladius here's one just around the corner. That's an easy pre-fire, but an easy refrag as well. Good on reveal. Again, 16 and 10, by far and away the standout performer on the side of Sway. Able to trade that out. You do lose some explosives with an Azami up in a Flores band, and on the defense loses Gumine, so that trade favors the defense heavily.
You lost Gladius here, but it's not going to be too much of a problem. As you pointed out, plenty of utility, plenty of gun power still on this CNE side. They're successfully staying mobile enough as well on this defense to avoid the onslaught of explosives from below. I mean, you've seen Schmeek, you've seen Reveal already use one frag grenade each. Neither have found their mark. It's going to come down to how Sway are able to shift this bottom floor control into an eventual attack. We don't see much defensive pressure on the main stairs right now, other than that smoke, of course. There's a deployable shield there, but it's not being actively held. And if Sway can exploit that, he might be able to take this control sooner than CNE hope.
crested that top main stairs. Their Achilles heel in that previous AVG defense is now gone, but CNE have backed off into the site. They still have a lot of these angles, though they do lack study control. Now that main stairs is gone, but 2 big kills go their way. Atlas with 1 and HUD downed as well. They got too aggressive or tried to push a little too far. They can get this revive, but now they find themselves at a disadvantage. Not a lot of utility, save for a couple flashes and 1 Grim B launch to find intel or aid any of their gunfights.
E1D goes out, but HUD gets sprayed down by Victory. Lamoji takes a bit of heat here. Victory will end up going down, but there's plenty of manpower to back that up. Luxor with a shotgun is not going to allow this entry to happen, nor is Crispino. It's too easy for him. Glamoji, 1 HP, is able to get 2 kills there, but it should not matter too much. DMR in hand, nowhere to go, and doesn't know where to look. That'll be Villa. CNE closing it out in not the cleanest fashion of all time, we'll put it that way, but a hard-fought victory nonetheless to start off the series well on their opponent's map pick.
We were in a position where CNE were up 5-2 after winning their first attack, and the plot was not just lost in the rounds. After that, it was just somebody walked out with the Men in Black pen and all 10 players in the lobby just forgot the trend that game was heading. CNE gave away opening pick after opening pick, advantage after advantage. They win a key round in round 12 to get to overtime, and then it seemed, Jonah, that on that 1 attack and 1 defense they saw, they remembered the team that they were in rounds 1 through 7, and 8 through 12 was just not even considered, which is for everyone's benefit.
Well, Villa all wrapped up. Oregon coming up next. We'll be right back with more Element 1.
So if I were to win Element 1, I think it'd be a huge opportunity, not just for myself, but for my team, to potentially play in the pro scene. It's a great opportunity to be recognized, given chances. I would just say overall, just showing out, getting recognized, getting to that next level.
To be able to go out and say, not only have you won something, you've won something significant. That you've competed against people that are on your level and you've been able to kind of come through on top. To be able to say that you did it, and to be able to put yourself out there and market yourself as one of the best, potentially for professionals as well as just for yourself, I think is a kind of pride that you don't get just by winning games.
To win Element 1, it would be absolutely insane. I mean, going from a puck stack who was made the night before the quals to go through the Swift stage to go all the way to the quarters, the semis, and the finals, and to pull out a win against some of the teams that are in here would be absolutely insane. It'd be a story and a half, that's for sure. It would mean a lot, obviously, because it's big bragging rights and it gives a lot of recognition to your team, and obviously you come home with a big prize pool.
Winning Element 1 would mean the world to me because I have so much dedication to this game and I wanted to come here and play my best, and I hope I make Pro League one day.
Winning Element 1 would be good for us. I mean, people call us Grimstar, people think we just don't got it, but I think we are one of the best team out there in NA for sure. And Element 1 will be just another T2 tournament that I win because I never lost in Tier 2.
I think it'd be incredibly impactful. It's basically winning CL, and if you saw the last team that won CL, RTV, they ended up getting free spots in the major quals, the LCQ. There's only 8 teams in the Pro League right now officially, and we've heard some unofficial stuff about some organizations in the scene, but there's only 8 teams in the Pro League, and I know their goal is to have 10, so I feel like whoever wins Element 1 will put them in a very good running if they're planning to add more teams to the Pro League. So.
for the first best of 3 in Element 1, the first map, well, left a little bit to be desired.
There's a lot going on.
It was chaotic, that's for sure. It was back and forth, it was messy, and eventually, Cinta Negra ended up taking the win. 8-6 in overtime, they come out on top.
Indeed they do, and it seemed like the game was firmly in their hands, and that trend will be fairly evident in the games we're watching, or the rounds we're watching right now. They win 3 in a row from the clip you just saw to the very end in round 7, their first attack. Sure, Sway was a little bit inconsistent on those attacks, and it often came down to scrappy gunfights, but overall it seemed solid. And then right there, that 1v1. It was all downhill from there, especially for CNE. Man advantages thrown away, huge map control, site control thrown away in spectacular circumstances. All the way to where they had to fight for overtime, albeit with just 1 round in between them and round 13. And they end up making it 8-6. They do end up winning the map. But boy, oh boy, they almost have, just like how it happened and how it transpired, a biblical throw, especially for Element 1.
Yeah, it did get a bit questionable at times, but that's just map 1. You know, that's just the first of what could potentially be 3 chaotic, exciting back and forth maps. But here are the stats from Villa. Here's really what the numbers looked like at the end of the day. We talked a lot about the entry game of CNE and how it was vastly better than the entry game of Sway coming into this best of 3. But look at how things have changed. And look at the potential implications that could have down the line. 10-4 on the overall entry game. Sway killing it in that regard. More kills, of course, and a better rating for CNE, who ended up taking the victory at the end of the map. But Sway put up a heck of a fight. And, I mean, looking at some of these stats, at reveal especially, 4-0 on the entry. Good grief. Going into Oregon, if I'm CNE, frankly, I'm terrified.
And Reveal specifically, on that defensive side, was the player who opened up a lot of those rounds. The majority, if not all of his opening kills, came from that defensive side. 3 at a minimum, 4 potentially as well, because I did miss that kitchen round, and I don't exactly know who got it in that one particularly. Whereas CNE just dropped the ball on attack and defense, only getting 2 opening picks on attack, and I think just 1, maybe 2 on that attacking side as well. So 2 on their defenses, 2 on their attacks. It was not good all the way through, and yet they still clinched it. They still got to OT, and they get to go to their own map pick of Oregon now, where, just to check, and indeed it's correct, they do start on the defensive side. Usually, by far and away, the better one on Oregon. So even if their entries aren't up to snuff, even if they do drop a couple bodies on sites, especially like basement, just the way the map is constructed will give them that inherent advantage that could mitigate that problem they've had in previous games and in this first map of the best of 3.
I think one thing that Sway have proven, though, is that our expectations coming into this series, fair to say we can throw them out the window, right? I mean, on
Reveal.
paper, we thought this would go one way. And sure, CNE did take the victory on map 1, but it didn't happen at all like we expected. The entries, as we pointed out, going Sway's way 100%. The back and forth there in the middle, it ended up being defensive sided. So that was also a bit of a surprise. So a lot of things that Sway kept us on our toes about, for sure. So going into Oregon, obviously we have our expectations is one thing, but I think fair to say that we should assume it's going to get a bit chaotic as well. Same prediction here to keep in mind. We have CNE still favored overall, 68-32% as the community vote. But Oregon, yes, it's a structured map, generally. Yes, it does, compared to Villa, often come down to a bit more of your utility game in the end, but it can also get messy. It can get frag heavy, and it can get very individual focused at the end of the day if these teams want to play like that.
Indeed. Also, just to note this, because it's just something funny that there's not a whole lot of like actual in-depth analysis go to it. It's just a funny stat. CNE picked this map. They are 0-1 on it throughout Element 1 Alpha and Beta. Sway have also played this map once, and they have won it. and CNE decided to pick it. So again, just because like you win or lose a map once, it isn't necessarily indicative of your total strength on that map. Could have just been showing up very good on that map in that particular day. It is just funny though that CNE picked this map and they've lost it, whereas their opponents have won it, at least the one time they played it. Ban phase has transpired. Flores and Thatcher, same bans that we saw on Villa, banned by, I believe, the same teams as well. Yes, indeed. Though two different ones to follow through. And I think that ban from CNE of Mira is very good, given the fact that they decided to rush into the site and forgot to clear those black mirrors. Not even having to worry about it on Oregon is a big win for them. Also, I did make a mistake because I misread my map stats. CNE are starting on attack, not the defense. But still, that means getting rid of that Mira is very important right now. Because if they want to get aggressive on, say, dorms or basement later on and go for those rushes that they tried to do on Villa multiple times, not having to worry about those Mira windows will definitely be a breath of fresh air.
One thing that the defensive teams might have to worry about, though, given our attacking operator bans, the Ying, of course, is still in play. Something that we did see Sway bring out a few times on Villa. They ended up, as we heard in their attack out, deciding to go away from the Ying in favor of the Lion for the rest of the map, and that ended up working out pretty well for them. But overall, Oregon is a map that you could argue Ying is even more powerful on, especially when you go down to that basement site, which we actually won't be starting out on right now because we're up in dorms for the moment. Those Candelas can take a ton of space. They can really make it difficult for the defense to hold any, specific positions in pillar or something like that. So keep an eye on what CNE want to bring a little bit later down the line. Right now, it's the Amaru. That's the real unique pick here from Gladius, using that Gara hook to quickly rappel into tower, taking that control before Sway have a chance to rotate around or do much of anything.
A lot of intel to work with, that Pulse and that Valkyrie. Ooh, nice cam to watch inside a garage down below to allow for some aggressive play and meeting. The Yana spotted, but Reveal takes the majority of that damage. Comes away with the kill, though. A worrying trend from Villa that in most of those defensive rounds, Reveal got the opening pick and Sway went on to win the round. Now it's just repeated itself here. Gladius tries to walk in, but he's all by himself. Now with Schmink getting that kill, if it had gone the opposite way, that's a huge opener for CNE and a huge bit of control. Now they just rush on in a 3v5 with having cleared literally nothing whatsoever. Coming away with a 2v3 in this situation is honestly the best they're hoping for. They still come away with a 2v2.
I mean, okay, great.
Right, well,
good stuff so far, but look out below. It's HUD with a heartbeat sensor. You gotta keep your eye on that. It's just Victory, the last player standing. Black eye cameras, heartbeat sensor still in play. No C4s, but still a ton of information for Sway to work with. I mean, you can see it right now. Victory trying to position on the foosball table, trying to get away from the potential spray from below, but now deciding to just send it down the stairs and take the fight. Figured that resistance was futile.
What? Okay, so... here's the thing, okay? So, Valk and Pulse, right? They know the Valk is down below. It's clear CNE did not know the Pulse was down below at all, which, considering the fact that one of their teammates literally died from meeting and Pulse was by the Valkyrie in meeting, not droning that, especially if they wanted to rush, is just inexcusable. Not droning that anyway is inexcusable. Then, they try to plant, they die to the Pulse through the floor. Alright, they didn't know the Pulse was there, so based on the intel they did know, that's fine. You have 45 seconds left. You now know that they have a Pulse because they just shot your teammate through the floor where he's planting. And you just walk down white instead of, I don't know, planning on concrete, which you can't shoot through. Or even just trying to stick the plant on billboards, which you can't see through. You just give away your life when they have intel to call the position you're pushing. It's only round one, and it's Oregon attack, and they theoretically can afford to make some mistakes. That's fine. But on Villa, they had an issue of rushing attacks and moving too quickly when they didn't have enough intel, and it appears that they have not only not learned those mistakes just yet, but are still falling to operators that they should know at that point are in play.
It seems that CNE the one thing they have showed us is that they have a pretty clear pattern on the attacking side. And that's in a situation like this. We might see it in just a moment. When they lose an opening duel, or when they lose maybe 1 or 2 bodies, instead of trying to slow things down and really fight their way back, they decide to get aggressive and just send it. That's actually been their strategy on most of their attacks. When they are down, they get more aggressive. Now, you could say that that element of surprise could get them a couple of kills and it could quickly neutralize the advantage, and maybe that could be great, but the results aren't indicating that. And when they've done it so many times now, Sway are more than prepared for it. Now, oh, gosh, that's brutal for Victory. Holding that angle, and Reveal wins it anyway. Oh, Reveal! That's another one, back to back. CNE have now lost 3 people. 2v5. What do you say they rush the site?
You think they just send it?
They're not grouped up, but
sprint down. They are as far away as you can possibly be on Oregon. Actually, I think if you're in small tower and one person's in garage, it's the farthest you could potentially be away. But north-south wise, they're the farthest they could be away. Ooh, Atlas actually does have an opening right here. Nobody's watching Freezer. Oh, it's because they have the F-Knot on the door. But he's kept pushing. He's actually, wow, what a Chad. He still just pushed all the way through, but they know his position now that he sprayed some bullets. Goya will peek, and he still dies. There's 4 players. There's 3 players remaining. There is somebody going for a flank as well. Ooh, do they have the intel? Oh. Reveal gives away his position, but backs off. Jonah, surely it's not going to happen, right? Surely it's not. I mean, he's got another. There we go. Okay, I was about to say that I didn't want to throw you in right as he gets shot in the face, so I was like, we're going to end it here, and they do end it there. So 2 rounds in a row now for Sway, and I mean, Jonah, this is one of those instances where at least my job is easy, because, again, entry kill goes the way of Sway. No control established after that point. They just cannot claw that man advantage back once it escapes their grasp.
Definitely a tough look for CNE that they knew Reveal was upstairs, were trying to hold Reveal in upstairs, and they still lost the fights anyway. That happens when it's the MP5 against the DMR in a situation like that. All Reveal had to do was land one of the many bullets that he was sending downrange. And yeah, a little peeker's advantage to help you out, but some just great gun skill to help you out as well will allow Reveal to go 5-0 through the first 2 rounds. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You know, win or lose, Reveal's my guy I want to talk to, because so far, going into today, he was easily the best player on Sway. Well, I would say easily, but he was the best player on Sway. Yeah, because everyone was doing poorly, but he was the best player on Sway. And after today, I mean, he has been the guy to watch, to talk about, to have impact in these rounds. Now 5-0 just to start. Basement and dorms 1. And again, it's like, you want to say, like, the inclination is just like, all right, you know, whatever, basement dorms. But, like, CNE just, it seems like, if there are 5 steps in attack, this is just an example. If there are 5 steps in attack, they only think steps 1, 2, and 5 exist. And then they also promise doing steps 1 and 2. But up until this point, they have realized Benny's in small tower, and with no Wamais or ADSs to defend that shield, Benny is now by himself. CNE does have 1 set of nades to deal with him, and they use it spectacularly. Something we did not talk about, actually, or that I forgot to mention. Gladius is actually a very proficient nade player from what we've seen so far. In that Triple G game, I think he got 2 separate nade kills, clearing out the pixel position on Cafe, but small tower being a position that you hold but stand relatively statically, that's something that Gladius so far has really excelled in clearing out with his frag grenades inside of Element 1.
Well, a good start for CNE in this 3rd round at the very least. Now using Victory as that Trojan horse to kind of brute force their way up into dining is now the goal. Calling for a bit of support, though, as they're trying to push their way into showers as well. Another nade! Speak of the devil, Gladius. 2 nade kills in this round alone. There's only 2 kills thus far, but he'll find a 3rd. Not quite the 4th, as Glamoji was a bit tighter around the corner than Gladius had expected. HUD will now try to challenge this one aggressively, going straight through. And no calm there, but still, ended up getting traded. CNE, messy there in the end, but a couple of good coverage from Crespino gets them both in the end. Will put them at least on the board. Their first attacking round, they've secured it.
A bit of redundancy from CNE on the angles being covered there. You obviously had the Thermite planting behind the Osa shield, but I believe both players covering him outside of dining itself were watching the showers hall. Yep, see? You see that guy sitting behind the couch right there, and the player prone behind the wall also watching the showers door. And because of the way that smoke grenade was placed, there was a very viable avenue for the defender to walk up and peek while the attack wasn't really able to see him. So nobody, or at least from the angles that they were holding at that moment. So, bit improper placement, but they still clear out that small tower very effectively, and Gladius with those nades and with that third kill is the reason CNE not only were able to open up that round, but then close it as quickly as they did.
But that clear was thanks to the nades of Gladius, but the only reason you're allowed to get those nade kills, in addition to perfectly placing the nade itself, you have to know where the defenders are.
I have a guess.
You have a guess?
As well. I have a guess. Another reason why.
Take it.
No ADSs or magnets.
That's a great one. That's a great one. But, and this is where I was going with this, but that's also a factor. Just drone work. Just information, right? Something that CNE have struggled with on the attack through those first two rounds. It was a bit tidier in the third, right? They knew where Benny was. They took the time to drone him out, to get those pings, and to get that nade. That's what we had to see from them in rounds 1 and 2, and what we didn't see at all when they were trying to deal with the roam. If they can apply that same mentality to clearing out these roamers, to clearing out someone like Reveal, that will change the game for them and could give them a fighting chance here on Oregon. But they need to get this roam under control.
And that's an excellent point, especially because Reveal right now is by himself inside of meeting. He has HUD close by inside of Big Tower, but at least directly in dealing with gunfights, there's nobody support the other player. CNE need to account for this, and this is a super good way to start with an opening pick. That's a C4 from below as well that you remove. One of two that are both stationed on that middle floor. The rest of the roamers are also by white stairs. It's actually a 5v1 on the site right now. This is a spot where CNE do excel. Once they realize that this map control is free, they can make it work. The pulse now down. The Reveal fights back. The player's been oh so consistent. Is there nobody on the bomb site? Oh my god, there isn't.
CNE, once they recognize that, you know what they do best, and that is send it in. There is still some defensive presence, but quickly it has been dealt with. Schmink swings around, aggressively takes the fight in that, well, 2v2 situation, now turned to a 2v1, and Reveal on 1 HP is coming up the white stairs and is the last player standing. Somehow got across the angle that Luxor was holding. Just snuck by as Luxor repositioned, but it didn't matter. Luxor played off the contact of his teammate well, got the trade, and CNE got the round.
Quick aside, by the way, Jonah, but actually, I just wrote down who won the round incorrectly, and I took my trusty pencil and erased it.
Ah, good man.
Now there are no hatch marks. Just wanted to point that out there. One huge win for the pencil gang. But anyway, CNE do recognize that there are two isolated roamers down below, so they drone and they take down HUD. Reveal gets away from them, but they still get at least one, and that's progress from where we saw in Dorms. We also see some other progress in that Sway, when they have players on the site, are able to take advantage of CNE getting a bit too aggressive. But there was only one guy on the site, and that man was Glowmoji, and that man was sitting in the corner away from Big Window. Not the easiest position to play in any situation. So CNE just flood in, and before there were mirror windows on Villa to shut down that, there was just nobody on the bomb site from Sway. And CNE took advantage of that, and we're able to close it out, albeit it's come down to a 1v1, as you mentioned.
It came close, but, I mean, really in that 2v1 with one person trying to get that bomb down with the other on the coverage, it's not a situation that CNE are going to lose, especially with Reveal on 1 HP. So, as always, the early task of this attack here in Oregon is going to be dealing with the roam. And in this case, dealing with a much more aggressive Reveal than has been a problem for CNE in the previous rounds. Instead, Reveal is actually going for this peek out the main door. So CNE, they're going to do well to avoid that. Atlas, his Twitch drone got shot out, so he is aware of that position. And so he'll call out to his teammates, who will all reposition on the other side of the map, taking swift control here in tower, and potentially looking to take swift control of the pillar side of the basement as well. Jackal at the helm. They do know where defenders are, or at least where the defenders aren't.
Meeting in their hands, the reveal still in the wind. It's a player I don't want to risk flanking. Ooh. Gladius doesn't find the Azabi, but knows somebody might be behind them. Fires a few shots, but Reveal still wins the gunfight. 8-2 now, though it cost him a lot of his HP to get that kill. Dokubi calls ringing out as well. This is an operator that, had CNE found and killed, would have removed not only a big player, a big operator to blind himself, or actually to unblind himself with those flashes or smokes, but also likely playing by the laundry position or holding a key angle on any part of the site setup. That opportunity evades them, and even though he's on low HP, they still lose one of their key fraggers for CNE. Victory does get one, though, and he does get Reveal. The over-aggression from the Warden ends up biting him. Now CNE can go about the rest of their clear the next 30 seconds or so at their pace, knowing that they've just taken down a big player on a big operator.
Yeah, the Warden for the Jackal, it's pretty even in terms of the 1-for-1 there. I mean, you don't have the glasses to maybe make your life a little easier if any flashes come through in the end, but really it's not going to matter too much. It's just going to happen on these next few engagements if CNE can manage to take them and stay alive. They've got 50 seconds. That's a good bit of cushion, but that time is going to tick away very soon, and it could get even scarier as Benny tries to take the fight. Atlas wins it. HUD also goes a bit too far and also gets himself in trouble. Victory. Wow, everyone is just running up the stairs. HUD taking this fight with the Bailiff, chasing him all the way up into tower, but now on 1 HP and with a Bailiff in hand, finds himself with nowhere to go. Didn't want to reload. Just wanted to take the fight with the pistol. And that one did not pay off. CNE, that's 3 rounds in a row for them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If he reloads, he's not necessarily winning that one. But, like, just reload, my guy. Like, give yourself a fighting chance. You got 2 shots in the Bailiff. You think you're killing 3 people with that? Just reload. Either way, it's fine. Again, didn't lose the round because of that. I just thought that was funny more than anything. CNE, of course, they do drop a body to Reveal, but the player playing on back tower stairs does bring it back with that kill. So, again, not the best drone work on that Warden specifically, though good game sense from Gladius to recognize that there might be someone flanking. Just losing that gunfight almost cost them. But once they get that kill and they start acquiring control over on that back tower side, they were able to flood in. Mainly, though, ironically enough, aided by the freezer push. Big shout out to the Twitch in that round, whose name does escape me, unfortunately. I think it might have been Atlas. Yes, it was Atlas, actually. Who was able to get 2 picks on that side. That made the bulk of that big tower push a whole lot easier, because they could fully focus on it without having to worry about the 2 players in freezer or the extra guy in pillar. There we go.
Attackers are heading out to
First time in Oregon we've seen a team win the entry fight but not win the round. So far, it's been 100% conversion percentage, but that will change. CNE, nothing will really change for them, as this rush mentality is going to win out that strategy battle again. Unfortunately, of course, it's not going to find them much success, as their position is known, but still, they find a way to get a couple of unexpected kills. It's just Reveal and Benny, just like that, who are the last 2 defenders remaining. Despite all the information, despite getting a kill and a down onto the CNE attack, Sway still find themselves in a load of trouble. Thankfully, Reveal, for the hopes of Sway, thankfully he will bounce back. And now going for a wide rotation through bunker, CNE have to be careful of what is lurking around behind. Luxor, gun was not out, so he will fall. Reveal 10 kills so far, needs 1 more if Sway want to come out this even. Crispino reveals his position. Reveal likes to win these, but no, it'll be Crispino to take it, and it'll be CNE who go for another rush. A rush that was discovered, but a rush that will pay off. They'll take 4 attacking rounds here on Oregon, setting themselves up well for their own defensive half.
And this is the point I want to end that half on, because we just saw CNE win 4 rounds in a row. They win the tertiary site, and then they win both primary sites all in a row. After dropping dorms and basement to start. You could say that, CNE, maybe they adapted to the setups. And that's possible. They did seemingly adjust once they realized that the Valk and the Pulse were playing below the dorms bomb sites. But think about it this way, okay? They just got a 4-2 attacking half on Oregon. And they honestly, if they had just, actually slowed down and not gotten too ahead of themselves, they probably could have put up a fighting effort in the dorms and the basement round, specifically the dorms round. This half could have been even bigger if they had just calmed down a little, been a bit more savvy with their intel, and then closed out rounds when they needed to happen as opposed to doing it too quick. But they still land themselves a 4-2, Jonah, and honestly, on their map pick, that's very, very good.
I mean, that's great. It's a great place to be, especially considering the difficulty that they had faced on those first 2 rounds and the really momentous shift in those, well, the next 4 rounds. The subsequent 4 they were able to take, and they've set themselves up really well for what could be the last map of this series. And again, as a reminder, in this Swiss format, if Sway do not win this map, they go home. That's it for their time in Element 1. They're going to be putting up a fight here on the second half just to stay alive. And so far in round number 7, that motivation seems to be working just fine because Gladius and Luxor are already done, as Sway have taken not 1 but 2 opening engagements and won them both. Now CNE clearly a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have your smoke on the roam, trying to get one of these kills back. I think you're at a pretty desperate spot when your smoke is now taking a couple of fights outside with the SMG-11. Yeah, not surprising to see him go down either. So it's a 2v5 now. CNE on the back foot.
I just want to remind all of you, this is a basement defense. This is a basement defense. And one of the remaining defenders is off-site, no longer with us. Atlas now finds himself in the unfortunate position of 1v5. Nice crosshair placement onto Benny, but unfortunately that's an easy pre-fire for reveal. Honestly, Jonah, that's just one of those rounds where you look at it. It's basement on Oregon. The most defender-sided site in the game. No vertical. So much of the map you gotta clear. So much control you gotta get. Angles you gotta open up. And we have a Vigil solo roaming in the top floor. Loses his 1. We have Crispino roaming on the middle floor. No support, especially by the end of the round. Loses his 1 later on. Gladius loses his 1 on the Mozzie, solo roaming in small tower. I think we're overcomplicating it a little. You don't need to get that aggressive on basement. Just sit further into the center of the building, shoot a few drones, and hell, if you want 1 guy to solo roam as the Vigil, go for it. But 3? Do we need 3? Especially with the Warden? Not necessarily. I think CNE just need to play basement more how basement should be played. They don't need to get that aggressive again.
And I think they'll have heard you, because we're going in basement, and they've changed it up. The operator selection, not dramatically different, but clearly the setup, they are going to be playing this one a little bit closer to home, and thank goodness. Because as you pointed out, you had basically the entire team roaming, and yet all of them were alone. They were all doing a little bit too much, a little bit too isolated, and that resulted in 1 kill after another going to the Sway attack. Playing this one a lot more patiently. At least 3, maybe 4 defenders on that basement floor already. All 5 even, if I'm seeing that right. Not a single defender going for an extended roam. In a position to potentially take some space if Gladius wants to walk up the freezer stairs, but they've got everything barricaded off. They are going to play this one as much of a turtle defense as it could possibly be. So, a complete opposite of that last round. Now, the one benefit to that last round is that Sway are going to clear out every inch of this map, seeing how aggressive CNE just played. That'll take them about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, but once they clear it out, and once they get a kill like that, Sway can take this space quickly.
This just speaks to Reveal as a player, specifically in this matchup. I mean, every door barricaded, all 5 CNE players on site, and he still walks down bottom laundry, opens the barricade, lurks, and gets a pick, and backs off, doesn't take a single lick of damage. He's also the only player positive on his team, and let me just fact check this real quick. He has as many kills as the rest of his team combined. So when I said earlier that he is the player on Sway, I meant it almost literally at this point. They have only lost, or CNA I should say, have only lost Gladius. He doesn't carry a lot of active intel, so they have the Warden, have that Wamai, and the Smoke as well, and still Luxor as a flex who can just roam around and use his gun. So the utility is still there from CNE. They gotta be careful of this bottom laundry position. It's exposed for them now. Anybody moving in long or freezer could fall to it, especially now that the rest of Sway are moving into these positions.
Atlas gets one, and that one's on to Reveal. Potentially the win condition here for CNE has now been found. That's another one. Make it a third. Benny will try to get 1, maybe 2 kills to bounce back, but it's not going to be enough. Cannot get much going in a 1v3 situation like that. CNE, they hang on and survive. They killed Reveal, and then it all just came crumbling apart for Sway. You never like to put it on one player. You never like to sum up an entire team by one player's success or failure, but it's hard to argue with the facts. It's hard to argue with the results that we're seeing in front of us, Carter. Reveal is going crazy in the kill department, but when Reveal is down, there's not a lot of killing power on this team, at least so far on this map, to compensate.
I mean, I would agree with that. When it just goes to show, not only in the stats, but the entries, and also specifically that it's a lot of individual effort as well. When he's making lurks like that work on the bottom of laundry stairs, those often aren't necessarily based off of active intel gathering by the team. It might be initially like, hey, there might be something over by bottom laundry. They got it barricaded, but I don't see anybody playing there. And then they go down, but then you usually wait 5 or 10 seconds to see if you have an opportunity. And at that point, a lot of that is on to the individual player holding that angle or making that play. So Reveal has been getting a lot of these kills, I'm sure, off the support of his team, especially in round 7, but in round 8, getting an opening pick was probably a good bit of individual effort on his part as well. And he's doing a lot of the heavy lifting on Sway, as you mentioned, but not to beat a dead horse, of course. Now Basement has been won once and lost once by CNE, but they won it in that previous round. They will head up to dorms. Gladius downing the hard breach right off the bat. I mean, I can't say confidently that it's match point now, of course. The CNE have thrown more of a layup previously, but I mean, at this point, man, you're really going to rely on Reveal's huge performance and lurks to win this round.
Here it is. Solo play from Reveal that will likely dictate the flow of the back half of this round. Having lost your hard breach, no secondary hard breach either in HUD's pocket. It's just going to come down to their ability to frag out, to put themselves in uncomfortable spots and get the kills anyway. That is what will decide this. Round number 9, maybe it's Benny to open things up from below. I mean, he's got at least an angle to work with thanks to those breaching rounds, and a couple of nades might find their mark. But Gladius not yet finished off. Low, but still in this fight, and is likely to continue to relocate and look to find his target. There it is, Crispino, a smart choice. Taking the 1-for-1, losing his life, but picking up a kill onto Reveal for his troubles. Looks like that should be more than worthwhile. Victory gets another one, shutting down Benny. The 2v4 is now a 1v4, and Sway do not have a lot of options.
Their only remaining player stuck outside a big window has picked up 1 kill, and Gladius is on 1 HP. Might have just rotated back to the bomb site. Might be away, but either way, that's the kill they're looking for. Nice firebolt, but it just goes a bit too far past Victory. Doesn't end up taking or dealing any damage to the Warden. He vaults on him, but there's a Razor Bloom right there. And either he remains and dies, or the rest of the defense peaks the moment he moves. That's what they do. CNE now grasp a match point. Their next stop is either Kitchen and Dining or Meeting and Kitchen, Jonah.
2 choices, but they both are equally difficult. And Sway, as they pretty much know what they're heading into, they're going to take a timeout to discuss this. I think a smart one now, but they need to take 3 rounds in a row. So this timeout not only needs to dictate what happens in the next round, but whatever they go over here, it's going to have to be enough to put them on top in the next round,
so
the round
if you're gonna
after
take
that,
up white like
and
that,
one more.
put a dude on kid's window. Have somebody fucking walk back through like attic or something. Create pressure over there so that they can't openly swing you. Somebody needs to get on the games window early. Like, we're not creating open pressure. We're just allowing them to swing into us. Like, they decided that they are now going to aggress you. So you have to position yourselves in order to either refrag it or get the initial pick. Okay? If big window's not working, then you need to split it, okay? Like, go over to the master side. Have somebody lurk up master, because now they're not expecting it, okay? Understood?
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do originally, but listen, they're offsite. We win this round, win the next 2.
Do I keep the ace for that?
Definitely decently quiet in the Sway comms right now. I will say I'm surprised we didn't hear a lot of direct mention of the next bomb site. Of course, not necessarily meeting in kitchen, could be dining in kitchen, but it was a lot of talk about the mistakes made on dorms. Not a lot about that CNE are guaranteed to go to 1 of 2 bomb sites. I would have thought, based on conventional wisdom, meeting in kitchen, but still, some of the lessons that the coach tried to impart could be applicable here, Jonah. I mean, trying to create multiple angles on that top floor could be one of them. Not just giving away 1v1s or falling to aggression could be another. But so far, I think Reveal has already internalized those answers and knew them going into this game and parts of this half. It's been the rest of the team that I think has needed kind of adjust. And oh boy, I don't know if this was from what the coach said, but HUD has opted to pick the Blitz, and assuming that he spawns small tower, which he has, this might be a quick start and a quick end, no matter who ends up the victor.
Yeah, it's funny because in the 60-second tac timeout, we didn't hear a single mention of what was coming up next. So this was a split-second, spur-of-the-moment decision from Sway. Let's see if they can make it happen. It would be an electric way to stay alive in Element 1, but it's not going to be an easy one. That's for sure. Right now, HUD is just sitting back and droning his team in, trying to get a bit of information about what they're dealing with in small tower. But once they know what they're dealing with or what they're not dealing with, if there's no utility, no magnets, no ADSs, then HUD will be able to jump in and actually do something. But right now, being hindered by this utility. Kiba barrier will pop. Gladius will move around and relocate, but look at that. It's the Blitz to greet him. Reveal finding a kill just a moment prior on the opposite side of the map as well means that Sway have not one, but a 2-man advantage only 1 minute in.
Sway did use a lot more utility than they needed to clear out that position, but hey, they still end up clearing it, and once players start getting aggressive inside of the site, they are cut down as soon as they try to take those gunfights. 1 player on the bomb site, 1 player off. Crispino might feel obligated to flank, but he's obligated to rotate now. Does get a kill on the big player for Sway, but his teammates fallen just a bit prior. Only intel on the player pushing up the showers hallway, but the bulk of the attackers will be pushing in to get the bomb down inside of dining. Sees the Blitz, tries to shoot the feet. This is a very difficult set of engagements. Does end up downing him. And nobody from Sway tries to take the fight until he swings bottom white with the shotgun. Could have reloaded, but either way, a decent enough attack from Sway on the tertiary site. Just now the primary ones they have to worry about.
Yeah, cleaned up dining with relative ease. No real concern at all from the word go. Once they dealt with the utility up above in small tower, the round was pretty much over. They had the first 2 kills, and they just rolled through one by one by one. That's the same focus that Sway are going to need to bring to these next 2 rounds. Again, not only to stay alive on Oregon, but to stay in the match and to stay in the league, to stay in Element 1 as a whole. So they're going to have to do that again. Bring that same utility focus, bring that same patience and that information gathering that we just saw them perform in small tower. Just going to be a lot more difficult this time, because instead of just 1 position in small tower where defenders could reasonably be, Now you've got an entire map, 2 floors worth of positions where defenders could reasonably be. So Sway have a lot more simple square footage to clear out, and a blitz strat, you're not going to be able to rely on something like that to carry you through more than one round here and there.
It is ironic you say that, just because probably one of the most prevalent blitz rushes on Oregon is actually for basement, sending it up in elbow position. But you are correct. Once a team has already fallen to a rush, they're more wary of it the next, even if they go to another bomb site. Though right now, there are a lot of people just running around, not necessarily focused on that elbow position. Luxor even getting a little bit of late setup, putting the shield down 20 seconds into the match. Just what I hope for CNE is that we don't see that heavy-handed aggression we saw in that first basement defense. And so far, it is not here. They do need to be careful of that laundry lurk, of course, as that's where Reveal got the first pick in the second basement defense from CNE. With no barricade there, they should have to actively watch it to make sure that Gladius doesn't end up pushing down. Meanwhile, the rest of Sway, assuming Reveal will likely try something similar on a stairwell, they'll spend the remaining... Hold on. How the hell is Victory dead? Where did he die from? That's Smoke. And Glow is Hibana.
A bomb has been located.
Did he flank main? I just have no idea. I have literally no idea how the Smoke is dead. He's dead though. Oh, you're. Please tell me that's the barricade. Now I'm just not even gonna focus on him with Jonah. I don't know how the Smoke is dead, but that's just a brutal and confounding loss in the first half of the round.
Yeah, the Observer. I think Max there trying to send us a message of exactly what happened, but a mystery that will have to remain unanswered for now, because CNE, they need to turn their attention, as well as we do, to the mounting pressure that's now coming on this E-box hatch. Crispino, he's watching it, as well as keeping an eye on anyone coming in through bunker, but he now knows that this position has been droned out. We saw the Gemini just drop down a moment ago. So Crispino will back off, take a more passive angle, and likely call for some support. You do have the Jaeger. That's Gladius also keeping an eye on the pillar position, but also swap to watching that E-box drop if the call comes in. But 50 seconds for Sway, so you know that drop's going to come in quickly.
Indeed, the flash grenades fly down the E-box hatch. HUD put to 1 HP immediately. Crispino cuts him down soon after. C4s land. Luxor's bullets do as well. Glowmoji now, the substitute, the only one left. Doesn't even get that first one. CNE close out the series 2-0 after a strange performance on Villa. At least Oregon, based on the result, is much, much more in their favor.
Much more decisive. 7-4. The victory on Oregon, and that is all she wrote for not only the series, but for Sway's time in Element 1. They fought their way through the qualifier. It was a heck of a journey to get here, but 2 best of 1s and 1 best of 3 later, they are the first team that we are going to have to say goodbye to in Element 1 this season, when there is still one more team that we have to say goodbye to today, but that is for a later time. Right now, CNE can revel in their victory here. It did get messy. We talked about it throughout. On Oregon, it was a little cleaner than Villa. They closed it out sooner than Villa. But there were some things that obviously left a bit to be desired. They cleaned it up in the end, though, just enough to slow down Reveal, to stop Sway's momentum, and to take the win at the end of the day.
And they do end this series 2-0, and like we all predicted, CNE to win. I still do think at the end of this game, obviously based on the results, but even no matter how it happened, that this team, just unfortunately for Sway, is the better one. Not by a long shot, but definitely decidedly, in my opinion. I think the result reflects that. But I do want to say this, going forward into Element 1. The streaks in which CNE were losing rounds, you know, the couple attacks to start out Oregon, and the many, many thrown attacks on Villa, the streaks where they were losing have been the weakest they have looked so far inside of Element 1. But the rounds they were winning looked on par with their successes. But I think we've seen kind of the low of CNE today, and they need to focus a lot more on those highs that we've seen in the best of ones that made that Taken Kings game so close and made the rounds that they won today that much better. Because if they have any hope of surviving that next best of 3, there were a lot of flaws on a lot of tape that a good counter-striding team could exploit.
Yeah, it just didn't come together like I think we had envisioned it, Carter. Like, we knew the strengths of this team, we knew the weaknesses, and it just didn't seem like they lived up to the potential. Sure, they didn't have a win under their belt yet, but they had played well, especially on the attacking side. That was our major talking point coming into this series. It just wasn't consistent enough from Montenegro to make us think, okay, this is their identity as a team. They're very strong on the attack, or they have one thing or another. It just didn't quite come together on paper the way we thought. I mean, you can see it here. Still behind in the entry game. 4-7. Not what CNE had drawn up in terms of the game plan, but it still didn't matter at the end of the day. They were able to take that win and maybe take a bit of a blow to their stats.
Yeah, maybe just take a little bit of a blow to those entry stats, specifically those attacking entries and the conversions to those entries as well, though mainly the former as opposed to the latter. Good game from Crispino and Atlas in particular, but reveals good deeds this series do not come with a reward of any kind whatsoever. First map, I don't remember the exact kills, but just barely under 20 if I recall. And here he reaches similar heights at 16. So probably, if my math is correct, or breaching 30 by the end of the series just to lose 0-2. If I want to take away anything whatsoever from Sway's performance throughout the 4 maps they played in Element 1, I hope to see Reveal stick around. I've liked what I've seen as kind of a new, scrappy entry fragger who can also not only lurk, but play behind those drones and get those opening picks on defenses. Sure, he's rough around the edges. Sure, he's getting aggressive, and a lot of the kills he's got against a better team would be punished. But I've liked what I've seen so far, and I hope next time Element 1 comes around, I see Reveal on a team that I think reflects his skill a bit more. Or Sway as a whole come back with Reveal, and their skill is a lot better.
Well, here is your overall game statistics here between the two maps. You can see the extremely one-sided entry game there that we've pointed out. 17-8 on the entry. Sway over CNE. But at the end of the day, as we've talked about, did not matter. Because look at that 100% conversion statistic. Is that real? Because
it is.
If so, that is absolutely ridiculous. They had 100% conversion coming into the day, and despite the chaos that ensues, they maintain it. But look at that, 32-19. You were right, over 30 kills for Reveal between the two maps, and 8-0, flawless on the entry. I know they lost, but God, I mean, Reveal, take this, frame it, please.
Oh my lord, does breach 30 kills as well. It's just so confounding for me. CNE have below half these entries, the individual entry kills as Sway, but still maintain a 100% entry conversion percentage. So the takeaway from this game, if you're playing CNE, is if they get the opening pick, we gotta be careful that we're not ceding away any map control. We're not giving them any openings. But if we get aggressive and try to take an early gunfight, hell, they might not have droned that position, and odds are we'll come away with the kill. That's just such an odd tightrope to have to walk as a team. But honestly, I'm glad it exists, because that's just a fun puzzle to work out. And any team having a 100% entry conversion percentage, it's so unheard of. You still have to give props to CNE for making that work, because when they do get that opening kill, they do not waste the control. They don't waste it at all.
It's a crazy stat, and one that they will get to continue to boast going forward, because their story in Element 1 does not end here. They survived one elimination. They're going to have to survive another. That's what's going to wait them next time that they take the best of 3 stage. So it's a hard battle, but they're going to have to push through as best they can.
We do have an interview lined up with our winner from CNE. We have Crispino here. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Hey, hello. I'm good, thank you. I'm happy to have this win, and I hope we can get more of this.
Yeah, hope you do as well. Obviously, you guys have survived in Element 1. You'll play another best of 3 in a couple days. But you guys, despite being in the elimination, have seemed like a team that has very strong entries and very strong aggressive players. And when you guys get that opening pick, you win the round almost 100% of the time. When you guys do get that pick and you do get that first kill, does the round just feel incredibly easy after that?
I think we just analyze the play style of them, and we were like ready for any play style that they want to take against us. So we tried to make another strats. So I think it works, and I hope it's gonna keep working.
Well, counter-stratting is the name of the game, and it gets you those entries. It seems very good. Crispino, since you guys have been the first team to win an elimination game, do you have anything to say to the audience or anything to say to people watching who might be new to your team and might be looking at how you guys play further in Element 1?
I just want to say to all the Mexican people that is supporting us that we love them, and I hope they still there for us in the rest of this journey. So thank you very much, and we're gonna be giving you some surprises.
Well, I hope to see more surprises from you, Crispino. Congrats on the win. I look forward to seeing how you perform in your next best of 3. Thank you very much. All right, well, we've heard from the... Always good to hear. Good to hear from the winner as well. And overall, we had a big performance from Reveal, but it should be mentioned that throughout the series, most players on CNE did put up some solid numbers. So good performances across the board from them.
Yeah, obviously we've talked a lot about Reveal and his individual play on the Sway side, but at the end of the day, this is a CNE victory. It's one that I think is a really good team victory. There was no one or two players who were exceedingly dominating the scoreboard, so something that they can absolutely all take credit for, and I for one am eager to see them continue to compete down the line. Obviously we don't know who their opponent is going to be up next, but another elimination game, they've fought off one, maybe best of 3s is their territory. You never know. We're actually getting another interview cooked up with the losing team, hoping to get a chance to speak with Reveal, the man of the hour. My friend, tough loss. Sorry that didn't go your way, but how does it feel to drop 32 kills between the two maps? I know that people want to know.
I don't hear anything. Okay, all right.
No worries, no worries. Can you hear me now? Just checking, Reveal. Can you hear me?
All right, yep, pretty good.
Amazing. Sorry about that. Well,
no,
I asked you the question that I think everybody wants to know, so I'll ask it again.
Yeah.
How does it feel to drop 32 kills over 2 maps?
Honestly, I'm not gonna say anything crazy, but it's not anything new to me because I played this game for since better on the first day. It always feels good because game day you can drop 16, 13, whatever is fine. But we didn't win anything today, so it just didn't work, I guess. But yeah, always is fun if you can drop 16 in a game day. It just feels good.
Certainly. I mean, talk to me about the team dynamic, though. Obviously, we saw what it looked like on the scoreboard, but as a team, is there a central voice that's really speaking up and guiding you guys through?
I feel like Vods is our IGL. I do shot call most of the times, and it's always good. But the things that I feel the problem today, I've played this before. It's just my personality. I've played this before. I just moved to an A. It's just me personally. I played it before. I know how it is. But all our players that got the potential, to be honest, but it's their first T2 tournament. So I don't know. We did a pretty good job, honestly. Even we had 4. I think we had 4 back-to-back rounds on Villa, and then just it stops and we lost 3 in a row and lost the game. So I feel we could have gotten it done in Villa, and then even in Oregon, maybe a timeout would help after the 3 rounds. We didn't use it for some reason. I don't know. And I feel we could be back at this game, but it's fine. I feel we lost 3 games in a row. It could have changed if we wanted to, but I think it was just our first game day or first T2, whatever you call it. It's just our players not that experienced, to be honest. So we can make it work though. It's not that we can't do it. We can do it. It's just it will take time.
Yeah, well, I mean, talk to me about what's next for Sway. Are you guys planning on competing in more leagues, staying together?
Yeah, I mean, we just started like we're the whole team because like what I've heard from guys, they just played and they just made it into E1 actually, and they're like, okay, what do we do now? And they're like, okay, let's take it serious. We just joined Sway. We got a good coach, Scoop. He actually did help us pretty much, like pretty good to be honest. And but I don't know. I feel like we could have made a better work in this whole tournament, but it's fine. I feel like we're still in it. It's fine. We couldn't get it done. But yeah, for sure, we'll keep going. If there's anyone, like if we can pick up anyone, if there is a need to change, we'll do that for sure. I don't know. We'll see what's next.
Awesome. Well, great to hear that you guys are still keeping a positive outlook.
Yeah.
Obviously, great performance from you, and
Yeah,
appreciate
sure.
you
Thank
guys
you.
competing in Element 1 and giving
Yep.
us a good show. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reveal.
Yeah, of course.
Again, good stuff from him, and a lot of good insight, I think, into the team there. Glad to hear that like things, at least on Reveal's side, seem to be pretty positive. Naturally, that can happen when you have a performance like that.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, my vibes would be extremely high after putting up the numbers that he did, but also just good vibes about the teams overall. That, again, to sum it up, you know, the game might have been a little weird, might have been a little awkward, but the nice thing, at least, is by the end of the game, by the end of the day, we managed to see some good play from a team that doesn't have a lot of comp experience, that is new to the scene, that is trying their best. And sure, Reveal put up some great numbers, but this is what Element 1 is for, to give teams that haven't had a big chance in the spotlight, haven't had a big time inside a competitive Rainbow Six so far, the opportunity to show their stuff. But that's not all, Jonah. We have one more best of 3 to get to tonight.
Yes, we do. It is Chunner versus Carry the Boats. Two teams that I don't think we anticipated seeing in the elimination game so soon, but especially Carry the Boats. We've got a lot to break down about this series and hopefully another exciting one coming your way right after this.